Welcome to Don't Chuck It Up. I'm Chuck, a college counselor helping families and educators navigate the college search and application process with clarity and confidence. Today, we are talking with another former student of mine. I'm excited to chat with Hattie Nesvig. Hattie and I met a few years ago, and she is now a student currently at Colorado State University. Hattie, welcome to the Don't Chuck It Up podcast.
Yeah, thank you for having me. As you said, my name is Hattie Nesvig, and I am a second-year biomedical and mechanical engineering student at CSU. I'm originally from Eureka, Montana, so a very, very small town that most people probably don't even know of, but yeah, completely different than, I would say, the D1 college life. So yeah, it's been a good change though.
Yeah, I was going to say, if I remember correctly, I think I got an email from your grandfather and said, "Hey, I've got a granddaughter who could use some help in very rural Western Montana." And you and I were chatting via your hotspot because you were in the middle of absolute nowhere, Montana.
Yes, yeah. The internet, I mean, that was my old house. We eventually moved to a better house with better signal, but yeah, the first place that we lived, we were in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the mountains, pretty much off the map. But
I mean,
yeah.
it was gorgeous, but you were about as rural as they get, as far as Montana in particular. You were telling me stories about having to go to town and get the mail, and all of those things that a lot of people take for granted that you had to plan for because you were living in Western Montana. So let's go back and talk about what was high school life like for you in Western Montana.
Oh, that's a really good question. I would say, especially in Western Montana, the culture, even outside of school, is you're either doing like agriculture stuff, 4-H, sports are kind of a big deal, outdoor recreation. You're always doing something. And um, at least going to high school, I realized like education was kind of important, but at the same time, a lot of other things took precedence over that. Um, so at least for me, I was kind of a nerd in high school. Um,
Okay,
but
that's okay.
yeah, so I wouldn't say that I connected with very many people just because um I was really absorbed in my educational progress and what I wanted to do after high school. So yeah, the social aspect of it was a little bit difficult for me, but I also did appreciate kind of the outdoorsy figuring out how to do things yourself outside of school. I think that that definitely helped with my work ethic and being able to teach myself how to learn on my own.
You
So,
were definitely a very strong student in that regard. So let's help my listeners and my viewers understand how small of a place you're at. So that people understand you did change high schools while in high school. So that was one of the challenges. Your senior high school was different than where you went for ninth, 10th, and 11th. So how small was your high school for ninth, 10th, and 11th? How many students were in your grade?
I would say there were probably about 40 students, maximum 40 students in my grade. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to a tiny rural high school, so I think we instantly had a connection that way. But my high school sounds ginormous compared to yours. Like I had 90 some in my grade in high school, and I thought I went to a tiny high school. And then you were like, "Oh yeah, no, I've got like 35, 40." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that's even smaller." All right.
Yeah.
Um, and you were really driven academically as a high school student. I mean, because your high school didn't offer much, but you were doing a whole lot of learning online.
Yeah. A lot of the classes I ended up taking were through a community college. That was one of the nice things about being in a very small, low-income community. A lot of the community colleges or colleges of Montana would let students, they do like a dual credit thing, so they could take college classes, get high school and college credits. So I definitely took advantage of that opportunity, and it was a great experience.
You had that, and didn't you also take some AP classes as well?
Yes, I did. I took AP Calculus, AP Biology, and then AP European History. So,
Then on top of that, all the dual enrollment stuff as well. So for going to a tiny little rural low income high school, you were definitely engaged academically.
yes.
And you were definitely one of the smartest kids, if not the smartest kid, in all of Western Montana. Because didn't you have a solid 4.0 when you were in high school?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's great. So, what were you doing when you were not studying? I know you were keeping yourself busy. What were you doing in school and out of school?
So in school, I was involved in a lot of sports programs, cross country, basketball, track and field. I also did club basketball in the summer. So that was a pretty big commitment, traveling every weekend, practice, all the time. And I also did 4-H for quite a while. I raised pigs, so that was fun. They're now my favorite animal just because I think piglets are adorable. But
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so I did that. And then I did a few leadership things through the high school. I did like student council things. There was the Montana High School Association sports committee, like leadership thing. I can't remember the exact name of it, but
That's okay.
I was part of that at some point. And I also did a lot of community service projects. I liked to start book drives and do that every like Christmas time for low-income families. And then I also started my own jewelry business. So, yeah, those were a lot of the things that took up my time. So it was go, go, go and eat and sleep pretty much.
I was going to say you're being really humble about yourself because I know all these things that you have done. Not only were you a multi-sport athlete, but you were a good multi-sport athlete. It wasn't like you were sitting there riding the bench the whole time. So you were very involved athletically, and you weren't just doing a book drive. You were collecting books. And then for one of your projects, you ended up making book bags for the books to give to the kids in rural Western Montana. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
That's not just a book drive, Hattie. That's like, a book drive and a book bag creation and a whole thing. And when I asked you why you did this, you were just like, well, because I saw a need and I wanted to get this done. I was like, that's amazing. That's awesome. Like, no one told you you had to do that. You just did it. That's great. Um, but high school wasn't the smoothest thing for you. I mean, you also had to navigate the move between junior year and senior year. And I think you gave me about a week's notice that you knew that you were moving. I was like, okay, well, all right, we're going to switch high schools and switch everything. And you had to go through, some medical surgeries because of injuries that you've had. So you were on crutches for quite a bit of high school as well.
Yes, I was. I remember taking the ACT. It was like literally 2 days after my second, I had an ACL, meniscus, and MCL surgery all in one. And it was the second day after my surgery. So I'm still very like, I wouldn't say I was there all the way, but I had to take the ACT and my legs like in the air. It was quite a sight to see, I'm sure.
I don't think you were 100% there either. You were quite medicated after that surgery. So I was like, are you sure this is a good deal? And you ended up doing quite well. Like I mean, it wasn't a horrible score. It wasn't a perfect 36, but you did really well. So I bring this all up because I think that students and families don't understand all of the challenges of living in a rural area and not only having to supplement your education, but travel and now having to do with injury and then having to move because your parents got a new job. And it was like, you went through a lot in high school, all while I'm trying to keep you going on the college search. So do you remember back like what was your original thought when we said, okay, we need to find a college that fits you?
Um, ooh, my initial thought was my initial thought was, okay, I really want to go into engineering or some sort of field like that. And I also wanted to integrate it with a way of helping people.
Yep.
And I also, when I wanted to go to college, one of my things was, I don't really know that I want to go to college and see people I went to high school with. It's not like, not in a bad way, but I just wanted something new. So I
Hmm?
kind of already had the assumption that I'm going to go somewhere outside of the box, maybe outside of Montana, since there's only so many colleges in Montana, and you're
Fair.
probably going to run into somebody you know. So, yeah, that was my initial thought was, okay, it's probably not going to be in Montana, but who knows?
Well, I think your thought was I just have to go to Montana State is because everyone for engineering in the state of Montana just goes to Montana State. And I think you were having a hard time figuring out where else could you go. And you
Yeah.
hadn't really lived away from home a whole lot. So changing from rural Montana to most other cities are much bigger than what you're used to. So I think there was a whole lot of like, okay, where do I go? What do I start? And we looked at a wide variety of colleges for you, if I remember correctly.
Yes, we did. Yeah, I mean, we looked at a few in New York or
Mhm.
somewhere way east, all the way to California. So, yeah, we covered the whole nation pretty much.
Well, you were very adamant about I wanted to find a place that had engineering options where you could be a woman in engineering and be well supported. You wanted a place that was different and, as you said, kind of start over and not run into anyone from high school. Although you only really have to be avoiding like 40 people, so it wasn't like you were avoiding a whole
Yeah. Mhm.
um, so yeah, I gave you a bunch of schools all across the country, some big, some small, some medium, all those types of things. But there were a few that you quickly became interested in. What were the ones that you were very much interested in?
I remember CSU for sure. I also looked at CU Boulder. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Oregon State. I also wanted to as well. And I think the reasons that I narrowed it down to those three were partly because they all had strong engineering programs, but also they still kind of had the Montana like outdoor recreation vibe to them.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's what really drew me to those three.
Yeah. So your final three, I think, were Colorado State University, the University of Colorado at Boulder, better known as CU Boulder, and Oregon State. Uh, you applied to several others, though. I'm trying to remember. Like, I think you applied to seven or eight once it was all said and done.
Mhm.
And if I remember correctly, you got admitted everywhere.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, yeah. I think you did a great job because you were an incredible writer and you were one that got through all of the paperwork and all of the requirements. Well, it's not paperwork, it's all online, but you got through all of the questions and application stuff really fast. Like you were dead set on, all right, I'm going to get this done because you were managing athletics and academics and everything else. And we somehow managed to squeeze in a college application process while you were moving to a new house. I was like, I don't know how you did all of this. I constantly wondered, like, are you sleeping? Are you like, do you require any sleep? Are you okay?
Yeah, it definitely helps to have a very well managed sleep schedule and being in surgery. So it would drive me nuts not having anything to do. So I'm like, okay, well, might as well work on this, right?
That's right.
Get
You
my
were stuck.
boxes.
Yeah, you were stuck in a chair, so you're like, well, might as well open my laptop and work on some of this stuff because I can't
Yep.
do much else. So talk to me about visiting Colorado State University because that's a big change going to Fort Collins, Colorado versus where you're used to living in rural western Montana. So what was it like visiting Colorado State your first time?
So my first impression was, wow, it's really sunny here and it's a lot warmer than what I'm used to. This week right now is an exception, but uh, yeah, I mean, there was so much sun. I mean, it's maybe first, second week of March, and it's freezing cold back in Eureka. And it's like nice and sunny. I don't even have to wear a jacket. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then obviously Fort Collins, to us, it's a city because it's a lot bigger than any town really in Montana. Um, But yeah, I thought it was great. I'm like, oh, there's so many people here. It's a very well organized town. It's a pretty clean town, so I like that. And then when I went to campus, I also saw the same thing. It's a lot larger than any of the colleges I've seen in Montana, MSU included. And yeah, just noticing how organized it was, how clean it was, and also just the welcoming nature of the college and everybody who I talked to. It was a really great experience.
Yeah, and for people wanting a reference point, we're recording this in the middle of January, and we're just finishing the coldest week in January. So yeah, when you go to visit Fort Collins in March, that's going to be way warmer than any time right now in January. But it's
Yes.
still a little bit colder for you right now in Fort Collins. What are, I guess, are there other things that you were surprised by or kind of, didn't really expect to see when you went to go see Colorado State?
When I went there, I was really surprised to see all of the student programs that you could take part in. Whether that's like a club or ion sports or even any other club that they've made. Like they have a swing dancing club that you can
Yeah.
do. Um, but yeah, just looking at that and also all of the different types of engineering. We have one giant engineering building. The building is like it's probably the length of a football field, but you walk through it and you see every department of engineering, which I thought that was really fascinating because I have never seen so many programs in engineering, especially in one building.
Yep.
So yeah, or even in one college. I mean, Montana State didn't have nearly as many engineering programs. And that was something else that I also drew me to CSU, was, okay, I'm not sure if I specifically want to go into mechanical, aerospace, or biomedical engineering. So I thought that CSU was a great option if I wanted to start in engineering, but maybe I decided to switch my type of engineering later on.
Yeah, and we talked about that in the college search process. I had to really find colleges that gave you the option of a variety because you knew that you wanted to explore engineering, but you didn't want to lock it in. You were really nervous about having to apply to just one engineering program and being locked in, and that was the only thing that you were able to do. So we really looked at engineering colleges where you were going to have more than two or three options. Like you wanted really aerospace and biomedical and mechanical and there aren't a whole lot of colleges that have that plethora of options. Thankfully, most of them are in the western part of the United States, so there were more
Mhm.
options closer to you. But that's why we also had to look on the East Coast because it was like, okay, there's more options way out there as well. But I'm glad that Colorado State had all of those options for you. So you pretty much locked in fairly early after you got admitted everywhere that Colorado State was the place you wanted to go to. What was it like moving from Eureka, Montana to Fort Collins as a new student at Colorado State?
Um, at first, it was a little bit overwhelming just with how many people. I didn't think that I was going to be able, for some reason, I thought I wasn't going to be able to adjust as well as everybody else, just because I have never been surrounded by this many people. Uh, yeah, but then I realized, like, after a couple days, really, it doesn't matter. Everybody's starting their freshman year of college. It's just gonna be that way. We're all coming
Mhm.
from a plethora of different perspectives and experiences in our life. So, and we're all at the same starting point. So, yeah, if you think about it like that, we're all pretty much on an even playing field. So yeah, thinking about it like that definitely helped me feel more comfortable, as well as just like, okay, I got this. I'm in college. Everyone says college is hard, but we can do this because a lot of people graduate from college too.
Right. I think I give you a lot of kudos because you asked a lot of questions and made sure that you had all of the answers that you needed. And if I didn't have the answers for you, I tried to send you in the direction to get those answers. But I think you were really good, and your parents did as well. Like they were, okay, what do we need to do? We need to do this, we do this, okay, because it's a big move, and you guys had just moved houses, and now it's like, okay, now you're going to move again, and you have to move to
Mhm.
Fort Collins. Um, what about like what did you get involved in that first year? What are things that helped, or what are things that you would probably never do again?
Okay, so the first thing I joined was running club because I really like running.
Mm.
And it didn't last for very long just because, I mean, we'd go out, meet at 5 o'clock and just go on a run.
Right?
And then I joined the Biomedical Engineering Society and I eventually became an officer. I still am an officer, the industry director. And
Nice.
we would end up having meetings during running club time, like, okay, fine, like I'd rather do BMES. I can go run on my own whenever I want.
Yep.
So yeah, I ended up doing Biomed Engineering Society. I continue to do it now. And what I do there is I pretty much partner with biotech companies across even the nation, or if we're doing like in-person events with biotech companies across Colorado. And what we do is I try and organize events with these companies, whether it's called industry spotlights or maybe a campus visit, or we're doing like a hackathon or a problem solving thing with one of their medical devices. But pretty much just trying to connect those companies with biomed engineering students and pretty much try and get people internships or jobs in just any form of networking possible. We try to get that done. And as well as that, we have an annual, it's this year has been crazy because this is the first year I've ever done this, but it's a biotech career fair
Ooh.
that we hold. And I didn't know this when I signed up for this or I made the commitment, but the industry director is in charge of organizing the entire thing.
Oh,
So, yeah.
oh,
So
so
this,
that's you.
yes, that's me. Yeah, this fall I organized BioInnovate and we had about 300 students there. We had over 10 biotech companies there at a table and talk about internships, careers, and whatnot. And then we have what's called the Industry Advisory Board, which are members. Um, they're somewhat related to the biomedical engineering field. They have either a biotech company work for one or just have great advice for college students. And what they do at CSU is they help make programs to help students succeed with their careers, but also look at the curriculum of CSU and determine, hey, is this up to snuff for producing quality engineers that we demand in the industry? So I also met with them and we had a resume review table and just talking with them. We had about 5 to 7 of them. And then we had also career advising there. And then we had one-on-one interview tables. So it was a lot of planning. That's definitely, it took a lot of my time this summer between my freshman and sophomore year of college to plan all that. Yeah.
Yeah, so let me just frame this out for people listening. You had just finished your freshman year of college. So you're finally
Yes.
got your feet underneath you. You figured out the buildings that you need to go to. You've got yourself a routine. And now you've got to plan this biotech career exploration type program that happened, when was it, in September or October?
Um, Either the last week of September or first week of October. Yeah, I can't
So
remember the exact day, but
you, you had to dive in over the summer and really put this whole thing together. I hope you had notes from other people that had worked on it, or is this the first year
oh,
ever?
no, we definitely had notes from people from previous years. I would say that this is maybe the third year we've done this.
Okay,
So, yeah, I had a few other people help me out because I'm like, I don't know exactly what to do or how to even set up the online stuff for companies to even
right.
register. Yeah, so it was a lot, but a good experience. So,
Oh, that's an amazing experience because now all of these companies have your name and your contact information. So if you ever decide to go that route in the future for careers, you've already got your foot in the door with several different places at the end of your first year. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a very advantageous position to be working on these types of things for sure.
So what are other things that you're involved in? Are you doing anything that's also in engineering or anything that's not engineering?
As of right now, I'm not in anything that's not related to engineering. I did pick up another research job. I had
Oh,
one in the fall semester, but I ended up switching to a new one. And this research position, I'm working at what we call the OBRL, which is the Orthopedic Bioengineering Research Lab. And I'm working with two grad students right now, mainly. And then CSU pretty much got a lump sum of money from the Department of Defense to work on this vital foam that we're calling it right now. And it's pretty much, we're designing it so that, say, in warfare, a soldier or somebody gets a serious wound where maybe it affects their bone health, they might have a fracture or a lot of tissue is missing. What this foam is supposed to do, they're supposed to have quick and easy access to it so they can apply it. And the bone or the foam has an antibiotic property as well as a tissue regrowth property. So, yeah, the part that I'm working on with this is mixing up or creating the foam and then going through filtrations, titrations, pH measurements, and all of that fun stuff to actually get down to the real foam product that they would apply in a surgery or something so we can test and see how well it works.
that's pretty cool. Is this a position that you applied for, or is this a position that you were asked to be a part of?
Um, it was more of an applied for, but the only thing I wouldn't say it's necessarily applied for. It's more of who do you know and who do you reach out to and talk to them, and then they figure out, hey, do we want to bring this person on our research project? So yeah, there wasn't really an application, but it was more talking to principal investigators saying, hey, I read about your project. I'm really interested in this. Is there a chance that I could work with your team?
So, did you get that from the biomedical engineering side, or from the mechanical engineering side, or how does this work? How did you find this?
So I found out about it through the biomedical engineering side. A few of my friends that I met through the biomedical engineering society, they ended up working for the OBRL at some point, and I knew based on their experiences. I mean, the OBRL has literally thousands of different lab projects going on, so I didn't necessarily hear about this specific project yet, but I just learned about their experiences there and they loved it. It was a great experience to help get an internship. So then I started looking at principal investigators and reading about their projects. And it happens to be that my principal investigator is part of the mechanical engineering department. So that's kind of how the mechanical engineering gets involved in this. He does a lot of like tissue strength analyses types of things. But yeah, so I reached out to him, and then he is also doing this Vital Foams project, and that's where I landed.
That's awesome. And you're all doing this as a double major in biomedical engineering and mechanical engineering, which is a 5 year program in the College of Engineering at Colorado State, right?
Yes.
In addition to that, you're also doing all of the pre med requirements, right?
Yes.
So tell me about that. How are you balancing your engineering life with the pre med requirements?
So the nice thing about this is that biomedical engineering shares a lot of the same recommended courses for people
Mhm.
who want to go to medical school. The only difference is the addition of maybe a Gen Chem 2 lab and just ensuring that you take anatomy and physiology. But anatomy and physiology could also count as a technical elective through biomedical engineering, like that program. So it's really not a terrible shift or a shocker to add the pre-med track since I'm already kind of taking it as a biomedical engineering student. Um, but I think that it opens up more opportunity for me to figure out what classes I want to take as technical electives. So that gives me a plus. And the whole reason that I want to take a pre-med track is I kind of want to go to medical school for orthopedic surgery. I think it would
Really?
be super fun. Yeah. Um, just learning from my experience with multiple ACL surgeries in high school, but also looking at the orthopedic side and the mechanics of bones and tissues through some of my classes made me really interested in it. So that's kind of how I came up with that decision. I still have 3 years to decide if I want to go to medical school, but that's the plan right now.
I I mean, from what I know about you and what you've done so far at Colorado State, I think that is a very viable direction for you. The one thing that has always impressed me about you, Hattie, is that you are always willing to learn beyond what is given to you. So you always wanted to take additional coursework, or you're constantly reading and exploring information outside of the classroom. And I think that helps you then figure out what you really like, what you really enjoy, because you're doing that. Like this research project that you're doing right now, that was something that you had to investigate outside of the classroom. Who is helping you at Colorado State navigate this whole thing between the double majors, the pre-med, making sure that you're not going to be there as a student for the next 10 years of your life? Like, who is helping you keep this all together? I know that you're really organized and you're staying on top of this, but there has to be someone that's helping you with this.
Yeah, so my biomed and mechanical engineering advisor, his name is Chase Jackson. He has helped me out a ton in planning out my schedule, my semesters. Yeah, he is the best advisor ever that a student could ask for. Yeah, he has helped me through so much. So yeah, with his help and in addition, there is a CSU Health Sciences.
Ah,
Yeah, so they're actually located in the football stadium, like in the bottom of the football stadium. So it's kind of like a walk-in basis type
mhm.
of thing. And you can talk with people who pretty much walk you through, okay, this is maybe what to start looking for. If you do plan to go to medical school, maybe the timeline of when you should apply, what classes you should have. I've only met with my advisor there once. I can't remember his name, but I think the more time students go there, you might have different advisors, but the whole program there was super helpful as well, just to look at the timeline of things and maybe when I should take the MCAT test or something. So, yeah.
And that's probably going to be where your shift is going to be next year, is starting to be like, okay, I need to get more of the pre-med planning, because you do have 3 full years left as a student because you're in the 5 year double major program. So you're not as rushed as a student who would be in a 4 year program. So that extra year, granted, it's going to cost more, but I think that's going to give you a lot more options and a lot more stability at being able to plan everything out. Keep in mind, from my experience, there are many students that take the year off after college to prepare for the MCAT. So, if you look at your senior year and go, oh my gosh, I have to finish all these senior projects, and I have to study for the MCAT, and I have to go to fill out the medical school application process. By the way, I can help with that. Um, you may need an additional time to get the MCAT done as well. So don't feel like you have to get it all done. The average age for applying to medical school is actually in your higher 20s. So there are people that typically take a year or two off, excuse me, to work in the healthcare industry, to plan for the MCAT, those types of things.
Okay. Yeah.
Some time. But go
Yes.
talk to the advisors in the health area at CSU, because they will have worked with students similar to you who have gone down this path already. I am wondering, because you took so many APs and dual enrollment classes while you were in high school, did that help you with your CSU planning, or did those not really come in the way you wanted them to?
Yeah, they actually did help me quite a bit. I didn't have to take any social sciences really or history, which I like to learn, but history is so difficult for me. It's just something that it's hard for me to read a textbook about something that happened 300 years ago or like social dilemmas. Like, oh man. But yeah, so that was a super plus. I didn't have to take any history courses. My AP Calculus course did transfer over, so that was super nice as well. Yeah, everything worked out pretty much the way that I wanted it to. I did take a college statistics class, which counted as a lower level stats class, for an engineering major. So I'll still have to take, in statistics for engineering, course this upcoming fall. But, I have a really good basis now just from that previous class. So I'm looking forward to that class as well. But yeah, everything has been it's been transferring over the way that I expected and had hoped. So that's always a plus.
When I remember back when you were making your choices, that was one of the questions that you had was how are all these college classes that you've taken in high school be able to transfer to help you get a little farther ahead? And there were some colleges like CSU that a lot, if not everything, would transfer over, and there were other colleges that would be like, maybe not. So I think that was one of the benefits of going to Colorado State is that they really would take everything that you were bringing in. So that's awesome. Um, but keep meeting with your health advisor to make sure that you're getting anything else that they would encourage you to do for pre-med, because it's going to be quick and you're going to start working on that application and that'll be something else to fill up your time. Are there other things that you were looking forward to over the next 3 years at CSU that you know is coming up in the future?
Um, a few things I'm looking forward to. Well, right now I'm working towards getting a biomedical engineering internship for the summer,
Oh,
or some kind of position in the medical field, just to get some experience under my belt for that. Um, but yeah, so that's kind of on the plan right now. That's on the agenda first thing. And then just in the future, in future years at CSU, I'm hoping to get involved in some more IM or club sports because, as you know, I'm really competitive with things and I really like sports. So, who knows what sport that will be, but I want to be on a sports team and doing something. So,
I,
yeah.
I am I'll be honest, I'm a little surprised that you haven't done more of the intramural sports, at least so that you can get out there and do those types of things. I'm sure you're staying active, but as far as the competitive stuff, there's always intramural, basketball or volleyball or some other random thing that Colorado State is coming up with. So yeah, try those. There might be a group even from engineering that's doing it. There might be like an engineering group that's doing intramural sports. So ask around. I bet some of your other engineering friends are doing that stuff.
Oh, they definitely are. And that's why I'm like, okay, well, these 2 years I have higher credits. Excuse
Yeah.
me. Um, But yeah, so these 2 years I have higher credits, but the next few years I drop down to maybe 13 credits a semester, which isn't bad at all. So I'm like, okay, this is the time that I can start maybe doing some sports things for fun. And I would really enjoy that. I think it would be so fun. So that's a goal for next year, and I'm really excited for it.
So now I'm curious is that you said 13 will be your future. How many credits have you been taking so far?
It hasn't been terrible. Last year I took 16 credits a semester, and then this last fall I took 17, and I dropped down to 14 because I was like, okay, I'm not doing 17 anymore. And now that I have a little bit more of a demanding job with the that research position, I decided to drop down to 14. I'll take an AUCC over the summer, and then I have maybe 13 credits a semester, 14 with an AUCC class, which shouldn't be terrible, but yeah.
Well, and for those listening, every college kind of does their credits level differently, but the norm is that a full-time enrolled student is around 12 to 13 credits. So you being up at 17 is a bit above normal. So yeah, you were pushing yourself credit wise. But surprisingly, I've talked to a couple of my other former students, and they did similar things. They did credit heavy classes their first couple years, and then they're backing off as they get older to be like, okay, yeah, I really did that a lot. And they're doing the similar as you. It's like, oh, I think I'm going to join some new stuff now that I have less credits. So really,
Mhm.
credits are time. When it says it's 3 credits, that means you're typically in class 3 hours a week. So that's what a credit equivalent is. So if you take away 3 credits worth of class, you're basically taking away 3 hours worth of class every week. So that gives you 3 hours back. So hey, yeah, that's intramurals.
Yeah. Yeah, it's perfect. I'm really excited for it.
Well, I am been so excited for you, Hattie. It sounds like Colorado State University was the best fit for you academically, socially. Everything is working out great for you.
Yeah, it's been a really great experience so far. I'm very thankful and lucky for this experience, and I'm sure there are more memories and more things I'll be learning every day.
So before we wrap this up, I wanted to give you a soapbox moment. So if you could give advice back to high school students who are listening to this, or parents or counselors, or even to yourself, if you could, travel back in time 3, 4 years, what are things that you have learned about college that you kind of wish you knew back then?
Ooh, the main things I would say, especially if I were talking to a high school version of myself or a high school student, was college is going to be, you're going to have a lot more freedom in college than you will high school. Whether that's in the classroom specifically, teachers are not going to be monitoring your behavior. It's your responsibility to get the grade that you want in that class, and they don't really care what your grade is. I mean, you're paying for the class, right?
Yep.
So, and they're getting paid to do their job. Their part of the deal is done. So yeah, they're not really here to babysit students pretty much. But at the same time, I'm not saying that professors are out to get you because they're not. Most professors want to see students succeed and they want to create a welcoming environment where students feel comfortable to ask questions, to come into office hours. And with that being said, as well, being a high school student, going into CSU, I was really nervous about, okay, am I going to be able to keep an A in this class? What am I going
Yeah.
to do with myself if I don't? And just give yourself a little bit of grace. Understand that college is it's going to be harder than high school. But I think it's going to be more enjoyable just because you can be more independent and make your own decisions and form who you are as a human being. Um, yeah, it's been a great experience for me, just these past couple years, and I'm sure I will keep growing and changing before I graduate. So yeah, with that, just don't be super nervous about college. Like your issues are gonna come up, but you're gonna handle it. You're gonna survive. And there are so many people out there to help you. Don't be afraid to ask for help because there are plenty of other people who have the same questions. I promise you. Whether that's in your small class, whether it's about just life things, people actually want you to talk about it because they are here to help you because they genuinely care. Yeah. And just another thing I would tell myself is make sure to manage your time in a way where you're still making time for yourself so you are a happy human being and you're not doing school all the time. Um, yeah, just for me right now, my outlet is going to the gym every day, working out, maybe doing some art things, maybe on the weekends I do a fun little like baking thing. But yeah, just making sure you have that time for yourself. And then I guess for parents or counselors, um, A student is probably going to change their mind a million times before they pick a college. So,
Yep.
yeah, heads up for that. That's what I did and everybody I know. Um, so yeah, get ready for that, but just be open for anything too. Because at least from my experience, I asked my parents and looked up to my parents and my advisors to see what their opinion of this school was. So maybe just being open-minded and keeping in mind, okay, what is my kid or what's this student like, and how does this college match them as well? Because they're going to be watching your reaction when they see these or when they say these colleges. Um, so yeah, that's the advice that I have for the most part for everybody.
That's awesome. And you could probably start your own podcast, blog, or book with that advice you gave. I love that you shared the importance of time management. I love that you reminded students that they're going to have way more freedom of choice, because that's definitely for sure in college. I love that you talked about balancing, academic life, and that you're still, heading to the gym, you're still being crafty, creative, and you love to cook. So and you reminded parents that students do change their mind. They're teenagers. They're going to change their minds a lot. Yeah, this is all, yeah, awesome advice. Hattie, thank you so much. I'm so excited. Double degree, or not double degree, double major student in biomedical engineering and mechanical engineering at Colorado State University, coming to there from Eureka, Montana. You're amazing. You're incredible. Thank you for taking the time to chat with me here on the Don't Chuck It Up podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Don't Chuck It Up. If today's episode was helpful, be sure to subscribe and share it with a family navigating the college search. I'll be back next week with more guidance to help you make confident college decisions. Until then, remember, don't chuck it up.